This is the Tecware Phantom Plus Elite. Doesn't seem that cool right out of the box, but look at this. You got a magnetic cat structure, boom, off. Look at this. What is this material right here? Metal, probably aluminum, not sure, but it feels really, really nice to use. And it's awesome. It's heavy, it feels really, really good, and it is an 80% keyboard. Guess what price it comes in at? Just $70. And that price is crazy. For what you're able to get, $70 I thought was a great deal for this guy. And it was. But look at this, 75% layout, and it is not metal. This is an 80% layout, and it is metal. In this whole video, you'll see me talk about this being a $70 keyboard. And surprisingly, it actually dropped in price. It's at $40, but that's only a 50% off deal, and it might not last at this forever, but if you see it, this is actually a great pickup. I know that they did ship this to me for free, so I can't really have an unbiased review, but $40 for a carbon steel wireless keyboard is really good. You're looking at more like $80 to $100 for something like that. So it's actually really cool, right? And I do bring up many issues with it, but I mean, it is pretty dang good. So Tecware sent me this keyboard for review, and even though they sent this to me for review, I'm gonna be brutally honest, there's quite a few issues with this, but it's still a pretty cool keyboard. So first of all, this is an 80% keyboard. So 80% might seem like a bad thing to you, and it is a pretty bad thing to me. So if you didn't know, this is a 75% keyboard. 75% keyboard is way smaller. Look at that. But you're only missing 2 keys going from this guy to this guy. And there's a lot of empty space in this side. That's why most people don't like it. But honestly, it's an okay layout if you have more space. Taking a look at just the outside and what you can actually see, you have RGB on this, which is pretty cool, perky RGB. You have 2 LEDs, only 2, nothing else. Caps lock and on, basically. Rotating around to the back, you got your 2 feet, which is pretty nice with height adjustment. And then you have your basically pads right there. Boom, boom. Pads. And then you have USB-C port, and then you have your tri-mode connection switch. So you're able to switch between them all, which is pretty cool. Then you have what's called a shroud cover. At least that's what they call it. It's called a shroud V2 cover. You can take it off. It's just magnets. Yes. And yes, this plate right here is metal, probably aluminum. So that's how it's able to magnet so nicely. So it's pretty cool that it has all this. And this metal is awesome. Feels great to use and is genuinely one of the best things I've used. But there's one major hole with it, right? So look at this. This is a pretty blank white area, right? There's some gunk on it, but I'll explain to you why. Let's take your included key switch puller and kind of just mess with it a bit. Okay, let's have a look. Boom. Do you see that? That's basically pencil marks. It's not actually pencil marks, but it really does look like pencil marks, and it really ruins the aesthetics of it. So I would love to run this keyboard without the Shroud V2 cover. I don't want to run it with this, because it feels much better like this, and it looks slightly better in my opinion. But if you get seriously scratched up this easily, that's a pretty big issue. So let's just erase this away, which you can do. And yes, you can erase it away, but come on, they could have done better. So that is kind of frustrating right off of the bat. Again, you have RGB, which is pretty cool, and you have hot swappable key switches. These key switches are north facing, so not the most optimal thing. But if you didn't know what north facing and south facing meant, let's take this keyboard here as an example. So you, in general, want what's called a south facing RGB layout. This right here, and this is where the RGB is. You can see that there's north, south, and this is on a south position right there. Check out this one. This one is north, south, and then north position is up here. So you can use the same keycaps between the two. You can kind of just like change them. It's fine, but this is quite frustrating how you have to deal with that. I'm not sure why south facing got so popular, but that is something that it's kind of an issue, right? So let's have a look at the rest of this keyboard and why I think it's so good. So, as I brought up earlier, this keyboard is only $70, right? And $70 was a great price for this guy. I was like, whoa, I get so much for $70. This guy, sure, is bigger, has some issues, but it is metal, it is way heavier, so it feels nice to use, has that cool Shroud V2 cover, and look at this retro style. I love that. And it also comes with a really, really nice braided cable. So, this guy right here came with a goofy cable. It came with just this little cable that had ferrite beads in it. So honestly, nothing special, and I don't use it. Look at that. This is its cable, and I hate it. But look at this cable in the same price point and tell me that it doesn't look way better. So if I had $70, I would definitely be picking this guy up. And this guy is quite good, right? So there's a lot of issues that I had brought up in this video, but you have to remember that it's $70. Okay? And as long as you use it with this little cover thing, I think that most of the issues are solved. Except for one pretty major one. So let's have a look at it. So these are shine through keycaps, right? And I don't know if this is common on keycaps because I don't really have many sets. Right? But with this guy, they aren't shine through. So I noticed that this guy does have the same errors, but because it's not shine through, it's okay. So if you take off the pause key, for example, let's have a little look at that. So pause key coming off. Take a look at it. You can see that there's some issues with the printing. There's some stuff that got in the way of the pause, and it's kind of frustrating. Putting it back on, you can see that, look at that. Some of the RGB is blocked, and you can tell that it says pause, but it blocking the RGB is kind of frustrating, and I really wish that it didn't have this issue. This is one of the biggest issues in my opinion of this, where they just didn't have the quality control. You watch this video of my first impressions, and you can see that the quality control is really not there, and it's kind of crazy how many issues are with this board. But if you're willing to spend $70 and you just want your nice metal TKL keyboard, this is one of the best options for you. Sure, you go up in price, you get the Lucky 65, you get your Bridge 75, your Crush 80, all these great options. But this guy is so budget with some great accessories. Comes with RGB out of the box. You don't have to pay extra for that. You get cool key switches that aren't great. They're kind of all linear, no matter if you get tactile or linear, because your tactile bump is first, but still feels great to use. And it's just a very, very fun keyboard overall. And if I was starting out and I wanted a $70 keyboard and just wanted something metal and cool, then I'd definitely pick this guy up.